and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. Hermione's hand narrowly missed Harry's glasses as it shut up again. The cry of the mandrake is fatal to anyone who hears it, she said promptly. Preciously, taken at the 10 points, said Professor Sprout. Now, the mandrakes we have here are still very young. She pointed to a row of deep trays as she spoke, and everyone snuffled forward for a better look. Hundreds of toughy little plants, purplish green in color, were growing there in rows. They looked quite unremarkable to Harry, who didn't have the slightest idea what Hermione meant by the cry of the mandrake. Everyone take a pair of earmuffs, said Professor Sprout. There was a scramble as everyone tried to seize a part that wasn't pink and fluffy. When I tell you to put them on, make sure your ears are completely covered, said Professor Sprout. When it is safe to remove them, I will give you the thumbs up. Right. Earmuffs on. Harry snapped the earmuffs over his ears. Then he shut out sound completely. Professor Sprout put a pink fluffy pair over her own ears, rolled up the sleeves of her robes, grasped one of the fluffy pants firmly, and pulled hard. Harry let out a gasp of surprise that no one could hear. Instead of roots, a small, muddy, and extremely ugly baby popped up on the earth. The leaves were growing right out of his head. He had pale green, mottled skin, and he was clearly balding at the top of his lungs. Professor Sprout took a large plant pot from under the table and plunged the mandrake into it, burying him in dark, damp compost until only the tufted leaves were visible. Professor Sprout dusted off her hands, gave them all thumbs up, and removed her own earmuffs. As our mandrakes are only seedlings, their cries won't kill yet, she said calmly, as though she'd be just done nothing more exciting than a water begonia. However, they will knock you out for several hours, and as I'm sure none of you wants to miss your first day back, make sure your earmuffs are securely in place while you walk. I will attract your attention when it's time to pack up. Fall to a tray. There is a large supply of pots here, composed in the sacks over here, and be careful of the venomous tarantula. It's teething. She gave a sharp slap to a spiky, dark red plant as she spoke, making it draw in the long feelers that had been inching sneakily over her shoulder. Harry, Ron, and Hermione were joined at the tray by a curly-haired Hufflepuff boy. Harry knew by sight he had never spoken to. Justin Fletchy, he said brightly, shaking Harry by the hand. Know who you are, of course, the famous Harry Potter, and you're Hermione Granger, always top in everything. Hermione beamed, as she had never handshaken to. And Ron Weasley, wasn't that your flying car? Ron didn't smile. The howler was obviously still in his mind. That Lockhart something, isn't he? Said Justin happily, as they began filling their plant pots with dragon dung compost. An awfully brave chap. Have you read his books? I'd have died of fear if I'd been cornered in a telephone box or a werewolf. But he stayed cool and zap, just fantastic. My name was down for Essen, you know. I can't tell how glad am I came here instead. Of course, Mother was slightly disappointed, but since I made her read her Lockhart's books, I think she's begun to see how useful it will be to have a fully trained wizard in the family. After they didn't have much chance to talk. Their earmuffs were back on, and they needed to concentrate on the mandrakes. Professor Sprout had made it look extremely easy, but it wasn't. The mandrakes didn't like coming out of earth, but didn't seem to want to go back to it either. They squirmed, kicked, flared their sharp little fists, and smashed their teeth. Harry spent 10 whole minutes trying to squash a particularly fat one into a spot. By the end of the class, Harry, like everyone else, was sweaty, aching, and covered in earth. They trasped back to the castle for a quick wash, and then the Gryffindors hurried off to Transfiguration. Professor McGonagall's classes were always hard work, but today was especially difficult. Everything Harry had learned last year seemed to have leaked out of his head during the summer. He was supposed to be turning a beetle into a button, but all he managed to do was give his beetle a lot of exercise and scuttled over the desktop avoiding his wand. Ron was having far more problems. He had patched up his wand with some borrowed sellotape, but it seemed to be damaged beyond repair. It kept cracking and sparkling at odd moments. Every time Ron started to transfigure his beetle, it influxed him in X. And unable to see what he was doing, Ron accidentally squashed his beetle with his elbow and had to ask for a new one. Professor McGonagall wasn't pleased. Harry was relieved to hear the lunch bell. His brain felt like a rotten sponge. Everyone filed out of the classroom except him and Ron, who was walking his wand furiously on the desk. Stupid, useless thing! Write home for another one, Harry suggested as the wand let off a volley of bangs like a firecracker. Oh yeah, and get another howler bag, said Ron, stuffing the now hissing wand into his bag. If your own fault your wand got snapped. They went down to lunch, where Ron's mood was not improved by Hermione showing them the handful of perfect code buttons she had produced in Transfiguration. What we've got this afternoon, said Harry, hastily changing the subject. Defense against the dark arts, said Hermione at once. Why? Demanded Ron. Says in her timetable. Have you outlined all Lockhart's lessons in little hearts? Hermione snatched the timetable back, flushing furiously. They finished lunch and went outside into the overcast country yard. Hermione sat down on a stone step and buried her nose in voyaged with the vampires again. Harry and Ron stood talking about Quidditch for several minutes before Harry became aware that he was being closely watched. Looking up, he saw a very small, mousy-haired boy he had seen trying on the sorting hat last night, and staring at Harry as though transfixed. He was clutching what looked like an ordinary Muggle camera, and the moment Harry looked at him, he went bright red. All right, Harry, I'm calling Creevy, he said breathlessly, taking a tentative step forward. I'm in Gryffindor too. You think, would it be all right if... Can I have a picture? He said, raising the camera hopefully. A picture? Harry repeated blankly. So I can prove I've met you, said Colin Creevy eagerly, and in further forwards. I know all about you. Everyone's told me about how you survived from when you-know-who tried to kill you and how they disappeared and everything. And now you still got a laughing scar on your forehead. His eyes erect Harry hairline. And a boy in my dormitory said if I develop the film in the right potion, the pictures will move. Colin drew a great scattering breath of excitement and said, It's brilliant here, isn't it? I never knew all the odd stuff I could do was magic trick. I got the letter from Hogwarts. My dad is a milkman. He couldn't believe it either, so I'm taking lots of pictures to send home to him. And it would be really good if I had one of you. He looked imploringly at Harry. Maybe your friend could take it and I could stand next to you, and then you could sign it. Signed photos? You're giving out signed photos, Potter? Loud and scratching, Draco Malfoy's voice echoed around the country yard. He had stepped right behind Colin, flanked, as he always was at Hogwarts, by his large and tallish cronies, Crabbe and Goyle. Everyone queue up! Malfoy rode to the crowd. Harry Potter is giving out signed photos. No, I'm not, said Harry angrily, his fists clenching. Shut up, Malfoy. You're just jealous, piped up Colin, whose entire body was about as thick as Crabbe's snack. Jealous, said Malfoy, who didn't need to shout anymore. Half of the country yard was listening. Of what? I don't want a fool's car right across my head, thanks. I don't think getting your head cut open makes you that special myself. Crabbe and Goyle was sniggering stupidly. Eat slugs, Malfoy, said Ron angrily. Crabbe stopped laughing and started rubbing his conker like Knuckles in a menacing way. Be careful, Weasley, sneered Malfoy. You don't want to start any trouble if your mommy will have to come and take you away from school. He put on a shrill, piercing voice. If you put another toe out of line, not of slithering fifth years nearby, laughed loudly at his. Weasley would like a signed photo, Potter, smirked Malfoy. It would be worth more than his family's whole house. Ron whipped out his sellotape wand, but Hermione shot voyaged with the vampires with a snap and whispered, Look out! What's all this? What's all this? Said Gilderoy Lockhart. was strangling towards them. His turquoise robe swirling behind him. He was giving out signed photos. Harry started to speak, but he was cut short as Lockhart flung an arm around his shoulders and thundered jovially. Should I have asked? We met again, Potter. Pinned to Lockhart's side and burning with elimination, Harry saw Malfoy slide smirkling back into the crowd.